Some businesses chase trends. Others quietly build real value over decades. Today, we're sitting down with Mr. Bob Thaker, director at the National Trading House, a leader who understands what it really takes to build, sustain, and scale a family business. This conversation isn't about hype or overnight success. It's about long-term thinking, hard decisions, market cycles, and the discipline required to grow a family business in Bahrain and the GCC. If you're an entrepreneur, investor, or business leader who wants to understand how real companies survive, adapt, and win, this episode is for you. Welcome to Big Talk. Bob, how are you?
Very well, and good to see you again.
Bob, I'm really happy to see you, actually. We've always wanted to have you here. We always wanted to bring you over to learn more about you and about what you're doing. In fact, we wanted to learn about your family, how it started. We wanted to learn about you, how you're managing a family business, and also your entrepreneurial side, because you're one of the most successful entrepreneurs we have here in Bahrain. And then also about the part where you're just giving back to the community, whether it's through EO mentoring, whether it's through the classrooms that you're helping in and teaching, and the things that you're doing in your community. So where do you want to start? Actually, I'll tell you where I want to start. I want to start when your grandfather, correct? So what was his name?
Tikamdas.
When he came here in the 1930s, correct?
Yes.
My grandfather came also over here in the 1930s.
Okay.
I think this was the time when Bahrain was discovering oil, or oil kind of came, and so it was attracting attention. So we have that in common.
Yes.
Okay. But so he came here, he saw the country, and then what happened?
So he was in Bahrain. Our community had deep ties. They still have deep ties with Bahrain. And my grandfather wasn't one of the first pioneers to be in Bahrain. There were our community members who were there for 150, 200 years.
Are they like relatives, or they're like
Some relatives, but all originating. The common thread is that we all originated from this one town in Tata, which is 180 kilometers from Karachi. Back then, there was one undivided India.
Now Tata, does it have anything to do with the actual car brand Tata?
Not at all.
I'm a car person. Everything I'm going to tie up to Tata.
This is different, totally different. This is THATA. The city still exists. It was a town back then. It's grown into a city, still exists. And a lot of our community members were involved with trade with Bahrain because of spices and food and pearls. And so our community had roots in Bahrain. My grandfather landed up, don't ask me how, but he did land up. Obviously, why, we all know why, because obviously to make a better life for him and, of course, the family. And so he was there, then he went back and he came back. So he was not living here all the time. My uncle first came here. My eldest uncle came here in 1947 or maybe 46 or something like that. And one by one, my dad came, his brothers came, and then that's how the story started with Bahrain.
So you're quite a big. The family you have a big family tree over here now. It's
Yes, it's a big family tree, and our community is really, a lot of them are here.
Yeah, this is actually excellent, and this makes me happy. And sadly, from my side of the family, our family tree is smaller and smaller and smaller. But this is just how sometimes things happen. But
So we believe that as an entrepreneurial community or the business community, this was one of the earliest business communities who came and settled in Bahrain. A lot of us are now Bahrainis, proud and privileged Bahrainis, as I always like to add. But originally, yes, the roots are really deep, really deep.
So usually in most family businesses, there's usually one particular architect that kind of made it, that kind of designed it, that kind of saw something that no other family member saw. And I bet you back then, when he was thinking of doing something, everybody around him was saying, "What's wrong with you? Why are you doing this?" Because I know my grandfather, he also came in the 30s, and he did something that nobody else did, which is come to Bahrain. And at that time, which was a very barren, very early stage of the country, and I'm sure they were telling him, "What are you thinking? What are you doing? You're taking your wife over there to somewhere." So in your family, who would that architect be? Was it Grandpa himself?
Must be Grandpa. Yeah, he was one who came here. As I said, it was not that he was the first one who landed up here from that place which I mentioned. So there were other members of the family, his, maybe my grandfather's, maybe friends, cousins, maybe extended family. So But he came here, tried his bit at entrepreneurship. I think it didn't work. Took a job, didn't work, and went back. So it was like once or twice. It happened back. He went back and forth. Back then, it was not like you hop on a flight. You went by ship. It's quite a journey. Then my uncle landed up here, and he's the eldest in the family. And he came up here, and interestingly, he was one of the first employees working with Mr. Yusuf Al Moed.
This is okay. This is the late Yusuf Muayyad.
Soul rest in peace. So he started working there. Then my uncle came in. My brother came. One of my uncle worked in Babco. My dad joined. So there were three brothers who were here, each one doing different things. My dad actually was working. He worked in a couple of jobs, and he landed up in Gray McKenzie, which is BMMI now. So he had a good job. He was happy until he decided he wants to become an entrepreneur.
And how did that start?
Gray McKenzie back then, and he had a good job. It was 800 rupees back then. So we didn't have dinars back then. So he had 800 rupees, which is a good salary. Princely, I would say at that time. A wife and a daughter, my elder sister. And they finished at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Gray McKenzie being an English sort of company. And so he had the whole afternoon free. And he was a good typist. And his English was fairly adequate back then. So he took a small shop in Bahrain, and he started typing letters and teaching typing.
He was helping people that needed letters written in English.
Yeah, he did that too. And then he said, okay, yeah, he had a couple of typewriters, and he would type and he would teach people how to type. The old-fashioned way, ASD, the proper way. And that's how it started. And that evolved into a stationery business, because you would need paper, and you would need carbon paper, if people know what that is. You've inserted between the copy, and then you'd need typewriter ribbons, and you would need stuff like that. So then he went around looking for supplies, and there was only one shop doing that, which was Al Moyed Stationery, which are the pioneer in our industry. And then he said, why don't I do that? So he was doing that, working in the mornings with Gray McKenzie, and afternoons he used to manage.
At what stage were you curious about what Dad was doing, and did you
Right from day one?
Yeah.
I'm born in Bahrain. My brother's born in Bahrain. So this is home, and so ever since I remember, the shop started much before. They had basic names back then. It was a shop. We didn't call them a company or an office. It was a shop. You would go there, and there'd be a counter, and you would sell stuff, and there would be a cash counter. So yeah, right from childhood, our memories, enduring memories, is going with that to the shop. Stopping at virtually every shop in Bab al Bahrain, say salam, maybe have a cup of tea, and then go and open, sit in the shop, and just do things. So that's what I remember.
And then you got involved. When did you get involved?
No, I didn't get involved. I actually I was shipped off to India for education, and there was a reason for it. Means you really need to give it to the foresight for my dad and my uncle. Back then, the English medium school was Sacred Heart.
Yes.
The Indian school back then, which is now the largest school in Bahrain, by the way, was in Hindi medium. It was not in English medium.
Really?
Yes. So my dad said, no, your education, you have to have it in English. So he shipped us off to, there must have been, I don't know whether there were any other schools, St. Chris or whatever, but he said they couldn't get me into Sacred Heart for whatever reason. So they said, off to India. So we went so I went to India to get my education. So I did my schooling there and did my university there. But we were back every summer, just of course to meet parents, but of course Bahrain home. So that's how it started. And how did we get involved? I think we were involved everywhere. We could hear conversations during breakfast, lunch, dinner. You're entrepreneur. It's an ongoing discussion, conversations, time spent in the shop. So whenever we come in the summer, we would of course spend time with dad in the shop. He would haul us up there.
At what age did you decide, okay, did you work somewhere else? Did you join the Bahrain business immediately upon graduating?
So we started a business before I graduated in India. And I said, well, this is it. I grew up in Bombay. So I said, great place. Of course, I miss Bahrain, but I said, great place. And we started some business there. We started some manufacturing business, totally different than what we're doing. And I was 16, 17, and I did with my cousin. And then so I was very involved in that, totally involved in the business, because university was just a time.
What was it?
It was a packaging unit. So we started a packaging unit, and we actually decided in our infinite ignorance, as they say, to actually build a building, build a factory, and then get the machinery and get this thing. We could have easily rented a place. We could have done that. So in the whole process of this was going on, I went and worked in a packaging unit. I learned how to do screen printing, and I learned a bit about printing. And this was all during college. So college in the morning, doing all this stuff in the evening, traveling to the factory, which is about 200 kilometers, 4 hours trip to from where we lived in Bombay. And then I came here after my graduation. I thought I'd go to the US and get my master's, which did not happen. I did all the correspondence back then, not too much internet. So you have to go to the US embassy, and then you have to write to the embassy, and then they would get back to you, write to the universities, they would come back to you. So in the whole thing, my dad's health was failing. So, and I was the eldest son. And one day I'll expand on this and write a paper on the South Asian eldest son syndrome in a family business.
Tell us briefly without
Briefly, if you're in a family business and if you're the eldest son, and if you're from this part of the world, the culture, you graduate, you join the business, you marry, you procreate.
That's it.
That's it.
The fun and the excitement is for the next the other siblings.
The other sibling. So, and you're right, because my brother did. My younger brother did go to the US, but I didn't. I mean, I said, well, sense of responsibility. That was a difficult decision not to do my MBA. The other difficult decision was not to go back to Bombay. Of course, there were a lot of attractions. Big city, grew up there, business there as well, and so many others which shall remain unspoken. Attractions in that city, college days and all those memories. So, but then no, I said that's it, not doing this, and I stayed put. And that's when I was like full time into the business.
Now you're one of how many siblings?
3. My eldest sister, she passed away 4 years back. So we lost her to cancer. And then I'm the eldest son, and then my brother was younger than I am, 7 years younger than I am.
Is he also in Bahrain?
Born in Bahrain, works in the family business, loves it. Yeah.
Based on what you're telling me, I'm sure he had the easier, more fun growing up.
Absolutely, he was in the States for 4 years, and so the whole.
I'm a second child, so I can relate to your brother. I can understand. Yes, I can relate. The business that your grandfather and your father started and were part of, what is it today, and what does it do, and what are you involved in?
So my father started this, not my grandfather, but my father started this, and it started off as an office supply company. So we do B2B office supplies. We were never in retail. We had a shop in Manama back then, but it was never a big part of the business. Main business is to supply office products to organizations. Of course, it has evolved over the years. Means the computers came in, the accessories came in. So currently, we do office products, office supplies. We do IT related stuff. We do corporate gifts for customers, and we also do pantry supplies. So again, the pain point for customers to buy pantry is quite high. You have to go to a supermarket. They may not accept. They may not give you credit. They may not take returns. For a supermarket, you're not the main customer. The company is not the main customer. The main customer is somebody who walks in, pays cash. They're not interested in giving you credit, packing 10 different things, delivering them, getting some returns. It's a pain point for companies, a pain point for them. So we take care of that. So this is what we do.
The company's called
The National Trading House.
National Trading House. This was the name when it first started?
It started, and I think they did not. My dad wasn't sure what they would be trading in, so he said, let's just put trading in.
But you're also agents for certain brands as well.
Certain brands. We distribute the brand from Japan called Pilot Pens, which is one of the leading pen writing instruments. We do Bic from France, which does lighters and shavers and stationery products. And then we have a host of other products from all over the world: Germany, UK, France, Japan, Indonesia, Malaysia, China.
I really believe that the pens are going to have a comeback one day. I really do. I believe that. I might be naive in that area, but I think what's going to happen is it's nostalgic. And as people move away from things, even books there are some bookshops that are started to regain popularity. And sure, they changed it. They made the bookshops more like a coffee shop, and people can spend time in there. And the books have to have a little bit more meaning. But I really believe that this is going to come back as not just from a nostalgic aspect, but not many people know how to write anymore. They know how to, not even typing. They know how to touch things and touch a keyboard and start sliding things on the phone or on an iPad. But the art of writing going away, and I think that at one point, people are going to be giving which is what they used to do. I remember my whole time growing up and a teenager, every birthday, I was getting pens, pens from my uncles, pens from my family. They were always giving me pens, cross pens, big pens, Schaefer pens. I can't remember all the other type of pens that we were getting. Parker pens. Um, and I still have them. Some with ink, and I really think at one point they're going to play another role in society.
Well, and where does good writing start from? Reading.
Of course.
How do you learn to write well? And the vocabulary and the language is your weapon.
You mean not from watching TikTok?
This show has to be politically correct. If I start on that, but having said that, this AI is now writing for you.
Yes.
So a lot of the stuff which you say you actually need a skill to and needed a command on the language is made redundant. Maybe you say, hey, why did we do it? Do you know which, I don't know, some Scandinavian country, they removed all the digital screens?
Yes.
And they said, let's go back to the old-fashioned way of
Actually,
reading.
they forbid anybody under the age. I believe it was 15 to have a digital screen, primarily mobile phones.
And schools also, they're asking them to go back to reading and writing. Things evolve. Back then something maybe, but as long as we are accepting knowledge in forms of either reading or maybe now with some other digital platform, and expanding our mind, I think it's good. Does AI make you dumb? I don't know. It's only time will tell.
It will help you so much, just like a parent. If a parent helps you so much, you're going to be so dependent on the parent. And AI, is a parent bad? No, of course the parent is not bad. The parent's doing what it wants to do and it wants to help you and you want to be, So I'm not sure if that, in that aspect is bad. But am I going to be my best having somebody do something for me or having an entity do something for me? No, I'm not going to be my best. Now, some people are comfortable with that, and some people are a little bit hungry for more. I believe I am, and so are you, or one for those people that are a little bit hungry for more. And I hope we have a lot of more people that are a bit hungry, because that's how AI was discovered. Somebody was hungry for more, and they created AI. So I hope that will continue doing. At one point, did you think, you know what, I'm not really cut out for working in a company or a shop or a corporation, basically for somebody. I'm more interested into creating, taking risks, starting something. I mean, you had no idea what you were doing in India, but obviously you saw a need or a gap or somebody asked you for it. At one point, did you think, that's more me. I'm more comfortable doing that, taking those risks and doing that, because not all kids end up being like parents. Like usually there's a father or a mother that became an entrepreneur, then it's not always easy for the next generation or the third generation to follow through, because they didn't have that need or necessity or desperation or whatever words you want to use at the time when the main entrepreneur or the architect started all this. At one point, did you figure out, yeah, you know what, I'm actually better at this than at that?
I think right from the young age, I thought entrepreneurship is a great thing. You're your own boss, and you have your own shop. You can say, oh, I have a shop, or I have a business, or I have a factory. And we were taking decisions. We could see even I was the youngest in the family business back in India. I was just 16, 17 years old, but to get involved with my cousins who were elder than I am, but more experienced, but do this, do that, go and meet this guy, go and. So I always thought this is great. I never really worked for somebody, never had the opportunity to work for somebody, good or bad, but I never had that. So we were always in our business. And the whole entrepreneurial thing is not only in our family, Samir, but also in our community. If you see our community, even in Bahrain and Dubai, every family has a business or something to talk about. So it's like, I don't know, inbuilt the DNA, whatever.
That's interesting you said that, because that basically what you're telling me is that it can be taught, it can be passed on, it can be shown in the right way, exposed at a certain stage. So it's not, because my understanding of entrepreneurship is usually like some people get it, some people don't. Some people like it, some people don't. Based on whatever personalities they have, and their personalities is based on also their upbringing and necessities and things like this. But in your case, you're telling me, well, that's not really the case, because if the community is like this, if the household is like this, if their exposure to this is done from an early stage, then actually it kind of spreads. And sure, some might be better at it than others. I'm not saying they're all going to be, successful and good, but the ability and the mentality and the risk-taking comfort is done at an early stage, which makes them more comfortable. Is that what you're telling us?
Possibly, and the other thing is maybe education. It sort of tends to. It's not that we were not educated, graduate degree, and I did my master's much later, but um, maybe they do something entirely different. None of our kids are in the business as of now. They don't seem to be interested. No, no,
Your kids and your brother's kids, and
they're all in the States, and they're all doing their own thing. My daughter's a banker. My son's an electrical engineer working in San Francisco. So is my nephew, and my niece is still studying
wow,
in
now that
California.
is interesting.
Yeah.
See, so I mean that's what I thought. So that I thought this is usually how it happens. But when you're telling me about the community that you're part of, not just the family, but the community itself, that's what kind of made me think. Okay, maybe I'm not entirely right. Maybe so. Actually, how does it work? I mean, is it?
I don't know. I don't think there's a you can codify the formula for it. There are friends of mine my age graduated from me, same background, and their kids are in the business, and good for them. I say, I mean, it's great that you have your kids in the business, and the legacy continues. I think to each their own. I suppose it's how you. It's also what you like. It's what you love. So maybe that's what it is, or 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 maybe there are opportunities now where people say, or kids say, or this generation that says, I don't have to go through the grind and the ups and downs. And entrepreneurship is not easy. You know it, Samir. We have lived through the trials and the tribulations and the highs and the lows. So I could I could work somewhere, maybe make a bit little less money, or maybe make the same amount of money, because you never know what opportunities come up. The way the Silicon Valley is going, where the tech is going, it's created so many millionaires in their employees. I mean, look at Nvidia. Every employee in Nvidia is a millionaire.
Yes. You know what? You're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah, it is a struggle. It really is. It's a struggle. It's very hard. It's very difficult. So many. You're fighting so many battles. You're fighting every single battle, and if you don't have to do that, why would you do that?
And we know the stat. This is like now a cliche that, oh, how many 6-8% survive business up to the third generation. So now that's been thrown around, bandied around more and more as family businesses grow. But good for families who can continue beyond 3-4 generations. I'm great. I think family businesses are so important. Uh, but I suppose if the happiness lies in I'm doing something else,
How you're tackling that? I mean, that is a
it's an
dilemma.
issue, and it requires succession planning, and we have talked about it. We talk about it in the family. We talked about it in EO, as you know, I mean, and we talked about it in other forums. So yeah, it's there. But you never know if somebody wants to come back. So yeah, it's something one has to deal with.
Now, talking about EO, which is the Entrepreneurs Organization, you're part of the Entrepreneurs Organization. I was part of it quite some time ago, while you were also there, and it's a great organization. I have a lot of my friends who were, and I'm sure some of them will be also part of the organization. It's just a fantastic organization. Um, but you are doing a little bit more with that organization, so can I shed some light on your role?
So I've been on the board. I've done different roles. I've done Marcom and then a couple of other roles as well. EO Accelerator is one of the things which started when I was the accelerator chair. Thanks to the president, it took 3 presidents when I was the chair well, not them, but they were all convinced. But to get this thing going. Moving on, and then I went on to become the president twice in a row for whatever reason. The second time was more of, uh, and uh, and after finished my role as a president, I thought the one area where, and this is really very close to my heart, is how could we have drive this forward. And one of the programs which EO has is GACA, which is the Global Students Entrepreneurs Award, which is, I think, a fantastic program. As much as I love the accelerator, I think the students entrepreneurship program is so great, which basically takes up any student who's in the university, 16, 17, 18 years old, and if they have a business, there's a competition which is in the country, so in Bahrain, and then regional, which is MEPA, Middle East, Pakistan, Africa, and it goes to global, and it goes all the way there. And you've seen some superb talent, student entrepreneurs coming from all over the world. And Bahrain has participated for last few years. This year we want to ramp it up and take it up to the next level. And I'm delighted to share with you that the next 3 years, the program has been sponsored by the late Mr. Farooq Al Moed family. So they have blessed this project, and they're supporting us to a great extent.
They truly are amazing family.
Absolutely, I'm grateful to them. I'm grateful to Muhammad and Hala, and they've embraced this and they love the idea.
They themselves a family business, entrepreneurs as well, and maybe one day I'll have either Hala or Muhammad over here, or maybe both. We'll see. Or their aunties. Actually, every one of them is an entrepreneur. They're from the young, from the old. But going back to what you were saying, now you're also helped out with Tamkeen also, weren't you? Didn't you do some kind of a training or some kind of assistance also with the...
If I have this platform to share, people ask me why. First of all, you're a businessman, you should be doing that.
You took the words out of my, because I was waiting for the next one to tell you, which is the teaching part, and then I was going to say why. But since you're saying why,
First of all, and this a lot of it stems from what EO is about. In EO we don't advise.
yes,
We have experience share. Gestalt. There you go. So we have experience share, and it's such a shame that there are businesses and entrepreneurs who have 10, 20, 30, 40 years of experience, and that doesn't need to be codified and put into a book, but that's something which you learn. I mean, we learn from our fathers and our uncles and all those entrepreneurs and our elder brothers and cousins. So why not have this in any form that you can? Now, the teaching provided me a platform to do that, and I love teaching, as it was my first choice as a profession, till somebody drilled into my head, my dad, that not going to make you enough money. So, and of course, the obligations of being the eldest son in a family business. So that's one way. The other thing is, what better way to give back to the community, especially to Bahrain, who has given us so much? Means really to look into it, how many lives have been shaped and improved upon by this wonderful island? People from all over the world come here and they make their fortunes, they work, they make their fortunes, and they live in safety and security, and they enjoy. They are, and there's a big difference between being assimilated in a community and being integrated in a community. You're not expected to integrate 100%. You can follow your own religion, you can follow your own culture and traditions, but you're assimilated in community, and that's a big difference. So you maintain your identity, maintain your culture. So it's not a melting pot like New York is,
right,
but it's a ball of soup with different vegetables in it, and you enjoy all of them. This is my analogy to it.
So you started teaching.
Yeah.
And the teaching started at the IBF.
Yes.
Somebody over there called you and said, Bob, you know what? Come teach. What do you teach?
So marketing management.
Marketing and management. So somebody there said, Bob, you don't have you have so much free time in your life. You're so not busy. You're not doing anything in your life. Come teach, basically. Is that well, how did you, because you're extremely busy, Bob. I
am. I have a lot of things to do. I did my MBA, by the way, before that. So it took me 2.5 years to do my MBA. I was in the business 19 years since I left university, married with 2 kids. And that opened up opportunities for teaching.
Okay.
And so I'm doing it for last 17 years now, 18 years.
It's like the MBA, I'm assuming, was also in marketing or...
It was the MBA from the UK University of Strathclyde, who I'm glad have opened up here. But yeah, it was a great journey too. Met a lot of friends back then in that circle as well.
Now, BIBF is what started over there. Marketing, you were helping students or teaching students about marketing, and then that was how many years you did that?
Over 11 years with BIBF.
That's it. Just 11 years of your life.
And then I moved on to British University of Bahrain.
Okay. Again, still in the marketing span.
Marketing management, yeah.
Give us some ideas about the marketing. How it's changing? What are you teaching students? How are you telling them to adapt or learn or get ready? Because, Bob, today I learned something. By the end of the week, I have to learn something else again, because this is the speed of how things are changing in marketing and media. So it's not easy to I want to work. I want to provide and work and do the output. While I'm doing this, I'm at the same time trying to learn the next thing that's happening and the next app or the next service or the next idea or the next AI. It's ever so evolving. So how do you tackle that?
So you read, right? Means that's the only way out. You read, and nowadays, the internet's made it easier. So one thing is, of course, you read. The other thing is, obviously, you have to be aware of. It's really difficult to tell anybody 3 words now. You can't say I don't know.
No.
You can't say that, because if you don't know, all you have to do is, you know, Google or even AI, and then they will tell you everything. So how difficult is? Why do you say these things? You can say I have not read about it, right? I haven't Googled it yet, but so it's changed. Of course, digital is a big part.
I mean, what do you teach them? How do you prepare them for something that by the time they're done and they're now these are college students.
Yes.
So by the time they finish and graduated, things may have changed already. This is the speed that we're going through.
So I tell them to read and be updated, and I tell them, listen, now that you have everything in, with the attention span now being like 0.7 seconds or something like ridiculous like that. So I said that's the only way you can be updated. But there are other reasons why what I've realized when I started teaching, I didn't realize this before I started teaching, is a couple of things which happen when you walk into a classroom of 18, 20-year-olds. Everybody's an optimist.
Oh, nice.
Nobody is a pessimist. Were you a pessimist at 20?
I was never a pessimist. I think I was an optimist when I was born.
Exactly. So same here. But imagine when you go into a class of 18, 20 years old, they have the whole life in front of them. So when you walk in, when you walk into a morning class, they're probably sleepy and drowsy because of the hours of Netflix or whatever previous night, which the lifestyle is. But having said that, they're all optimists. So that's a great. And if you get them involved, then it really can be fun. For me, it's not stress. My class, I de-stress.
Oh, it's so unusual to hear a teacher say that. Not that I've interviewed many teachers, but I have family, friends, and who are teachers. Usually, it's stressful. It's annoying. I'm having to deal with so many things and so many,
Because I'm not a full timer, so I have the luxury of doing this. That's the difference. Yeah. So, and the other thing which I believe, and this is something I would highly recommend. Again, we don't advise. We only experience share. An entrepreneur brings I walk into a class not with the knowledge of 4 P's or 7 P's of marketing. 14-year-old kid would do that from the internet. ChatGPT would give you a whole thing on it.
What do you tell them?
So we tell them about when I talk about marketing, imagine the journey of marketing which I've had or you had as an entrepreneur of 40 years, and how we evolved and how we learned and how we made mistakes and how we corrected them and how we are evolving and learning to new things. Look at you. You're not from the podcast generation. Sorry, we are not from the podcast, but you are sitting in this room with a lot of equipment, and then it goes on to digital, goes on to the YouTube or wherever. So imagine we learned, right? So what we bring into the classroom, and that's why I think you is so important, and that's why I think teaching gives a great platform, especially to entrepreneurs. So, but I believe that there's a bit of a, and I'm being understating, there's a bit of a disconnect between universities and students. If you see anywhere else in the world, top universities always have people walking in as guest lecturers who are probably entrepreneurs, who are practitioners of what they're doing. We need more practitioners of what that field is doing it. You don't need to have yes, I respect teachers and they've shaped my life and yours as well. And you need academics, okay? But you need people in the classrooms who are sharing their experiences. A finance guy sharing what finance is all about.
I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. I remember maybe 10 years ago, I was asked at the British school. They have some kind of an entrepreneur's weekend or entrepreneur's day where they encourage their senior classes to create some kind of a business in something. And what they do is they invite 3-4 entrepreneur judges. I usually was one of them. And we'd go and we, grade and see how good the idea is and the execution and the marketing, all those things, yeah, based on what we know. And then we kind of like say a word or two and explain to them our journey, how it started. And honestly, Bob, they would call me the next day, not the teachers, the students, because they'd find out who I am. And they're like, "Oh, can you help us with this? Can you do us with this? My friend told me that you did this. My friend told me that," and it felt so good. It felt so good to help somebody. Uh, I'm not helping them in their business. They don't even have a business. They have an idea or a mind or an inspiration, and it just felt really, really good. And I did that, I think, for 2-3 years, until they changed that program. And it always in my mind was like, you have to pass it on. You have to help. You have to do things. And this is why I had the magazines at one point, with the business magazine. I mean, I wanted to interview as many people as possible and document their success, and happily have somebody, read it. Now that we've lost magazines completely, and then, we're doing what we're doing, because if I'm unable to, or if there's a classroom or a university that's not asking you to come there, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to document your journey, and I'm going to talk to you about it, and I'm going to put it up there, and then I'll let people, come and see it. I'm not going to force them to do it, but if they are interested and this is how they want to learn, it's there. So I couldn't agree more with you. Everybody has a story. And going back, you were just talking to me, and you told me about the late Farouk Al-Mayed. He was the first person I interviewed. I was such an amateur. I didn't even talk in the thing. And this was done, I think, in 2020. And then COVID came, so I shelved it. I never really did it. I never really published it. And only I think in 2022 did I said, you know what, the content was not good. The person was amazing. And I said, this is just too amazing to not publish this. So then, of course, I published it, and it's on the channel. It's one of the first videos I did. But you can see how amateurish the quality of the video and everything was, so not quite there. But of course, the star, which was Mr. the late Farouk Al-Mayed, he was there, and that was enough for me. But I think it's really important to document people such as yourself, and I think it's even more important if we can have you in front of classrooms, because this is the true inspiration. Now, is everybody going to be inspired by you? No, not everybody's the same, but you're not supposed to inspire everybody. You just inspire like one or two or a handful of people, because that's all you need to make things, change and go in certain directions. So, again, thank you. Well done for what you're doing with the universities, with Tamkeen, with EO. Did I leave anything out? Is there anything out?
Well, there's a community.
Well, okay. Tell us about the community. How
It's oldest. We believe the oldest expatriate business community. Now there are a lot of Bahrainis.
Cool.
So we are a Thai Hindu merchants community.
How many members are you?
So we are about 125 primary members, 40 companies who are members. They all the common thread is that we all from the same town.
Town, not even country.
No, town. And we all migrated in 47 or earlier when the
Oh, so these are all old families as well.
families, 3-4 generations older than my families who have been here. So, and fantastic. If each one could have a book on their own, 3-4 generations of businesses. Imagine, these are.
Maybe you can introduce me to one or two. We'd love to have them over here and talk about their journey and because we see things, we know what's going on, we see, but we don't know who's really behind it. A lot of the people, unfortunately, are no longer with us, that started behind it, but the story is still with their family. They still have the story.
So this was a bunch of businessmen who came in, and then they were having businesses in Bahrain. The association was very informal back then. We have some minutes of their meetings from the 50s and 60s. So they used to minute their meetings. We have those old blue register handwritten minutes. And 7-8 years back, 9 years back, we decided to formalize it. So we registered with the ministry, formed an organization. Then we got in all the good parts from everywhere, from the Rotary, from the EO, from where I was involved, and other members were involved, and we got a vision and a mission statement, and we really sort of formalized the whole organization. And it's basically 40 primary companies, but then everybody has second, third businesses as well. So we must be having 150 companies within our community who have a platform now, so where we exchange ideas, we get speakers in, we network, we go out in the Bahraini community and help out wherever we can. During COVID, we were, I think, in excess of 100,000 dinars or something was given by our community too. So we are blessed that not only the Bahraini business community have embraced us and And I think what exemplifies it is a Diwali gathering in any of these houses. Means everybody in Bahrain is there. It's an open house, so anybody can come. And we have we have, of course, the royal family there. Right. Blessed, and we are grateful, and that's why I say what a great place this is.
Have you seen which is right next to where your late father's shop was, the Kanu Family Museum?
We have seen it. We have not been there. I met some of my friends in the family who said, Bob, let us know. And because what we are also doing, a few meters away, like not half a kilometer away, but in the heart of Manama, there is this old Hindu temple, which the Indian business community is responsible for and owns the property. And we are redeveloping that property.
So this was my lead on to what it is, because they did one of the most impressive museums, let alone a family museum that I've seen. I mean, it was phenomenal. I was really, really impressed. It's huge. It's big. It's in Bab al Bahrain. It's their old building, and the things that they've done and the things that I mean, I've known the family all my life, but still, there's things in there that just history. And I was thinking, this is fantastic. This is not just fantastic for the family or Bahrain. This is fantastic for everybody to come and learn and see how one of the most prominent families were in the country and what role they played. Why don't you guys do a museum?
It is in the plans. This is an area where we are redeveloping in the heart of Manama.
Okay.
This is where most of the businesses were. They now moved on to other areas, but originally Bab al Bahrain was where all businesses were. Yeah. Means the Almoids were there, the Zanis, the Khan, you name it. Everybody was in Bab al Bahrain. So were all of our community businesses. Our business was in Bab al Bahrain, and so many of the other communities. Some of them still have retail outlets. Some of them have moved on, but that's not the point. The point is this was where everything originated. The temple area which we have will have a museum.
Ah, okay.
We'll have a museum. It's in the plans, and it's going to take about 2.5 years or so to get this thing going. But it will be a temple. It will be, we like to call it as more of a holistic sort of approach to it. We did not only want it to be a religious place. We wanted to, of course, have a religious place for people to come and pray. This is, of course, the primary objective. But there are other reasons for it. We want to demonstrate to everybody who doesn't know about Bahrain, of how educate them what an open society we live in. Do you know within that 1 square kilometer, there is a Hindu temple, there is a church, there is a mosque, and there is a synagogue?
Yes, sir. My grandfather built a church.
There you go. And tell me, where else can you find within 1 square kilometer 4 different faiths, people living right next to each other? And
in this part of the world.
In this part of the world, especially. So the other reason why we want to make this as a project is that we want to showcase what Bahrain is all about, what it stands for, what it exemplifies, coexistence, harmony. It also wants to show us that we want to really demonstrate and shout out this thing that this is a community of of people who actually welcomed people 250 years ago. Of course, we are an island nation, so I know that, we understand that, but there are island nations which tend to be secluded, which tend to be isolated. Here is somebody who's embraced people and let them stay here. And this is something really, really resonates with me and as in our community. So there is going to be a Hindu temple. There will be a museum. There is a VIP area. There is a digital sort of a library place. So we're all going to be working on that.
This is actually fantastic. I mean, this is one way that we can learn as well.
Yes, and it's going to trace the history of our community. It's going to trace the history of early Bahrain, a bit of a business community. I've been the president of this community for 5 years. And I stepped down now because we have a 2-term limitation, which is a healthy thing in the bylaws. But I'm still involved. I'm the treasurer now.
I'm just actually thinking right now, because a lot of like I gave the example of the Kanu Museum, but most people in Bahrain know the Kanu family and know what they're doing and their businesses and so forth. But not many people know about the Indian Bahraini community, such as yourself, which are a lot of them. And maybe we know, oh yes, that family and that family, but who was it? Because a lot of them are my age. I don't know their grandfathers, and I know you. I don't know your grandfather and how it started. And so going to a center or a place, a museum of sorts in Bahrain, and to tie that name, the name of that family, into what they were doing, it's like, oh my God, it all makes sense now how they started. And there's no other way to find out.
There's no other way to find out. Well, the other way we are doing that also is the 2 other things we are doing. One is we're actually doing a book on our community. which traces the history about last 400 years of our community. So there are 4 authors involved, and that's going to have early migration, then displace in Tata, where we are now from, and in early Bahrain, and that's going to be it's really a historical document. So that's another way of letting people know what our community is all about. It also will catalog every family who's in Bahrain with a page devoted to them, and hopefully an old picture of their family back in the wherever they were, and the current picture with the company name and information, so they know what are the families, what are the business people who don't know about us, and they cannot connect all those families together.
Now, I'll tell you something that's not really related to what we're doing over here. But you know how the Pope came about 2 years ago? The Pope was here 2 or 3 years ago. I'm not sure, about 2 years ago. And my grandfather was the person who built Sacred Heart Church and St. Christopher Cathedral. He built the churches at the time. So when this, the Pope came, the churches, they wanted people of that era that are somewhat still alive. And of course, they're not. The only one that was alive is my mom. And my dad is no longer with us. So I had to accompany my mother with these things. So we had to accompany the group that was here from Italy, and everywhere they went, just because of what we did, or actually what my grandfather did, 70 years ago, or 60, 70 years ago. And I just brushed it like, oh, do I have to do that, Mom? And of course I have to do it because my mom, I'm not gonna let her go alone. Uh, and then when I went and I realized how they're, accrediting my mother, her father, and I'm like, this is a really big thing. I underestimated this, and I really, because I didn't understand it very well, or I didn't put that much value to it. And not only, from a, the Pope aspect, from the Bahrain aspect. I mean, I remember they had a church mass in the new church. More than half of the people there were Bahrainis. In that thing, listening to what they were saying, I'm like, this is so important to know. This is such an historical event, based on historical events that didn't, somebody did 60, 70 years ago, started a church, and look where it is now, look what's going on. It is really important, and what you're doing is really, really important. I actually didn't see it at the time, but luckily, thankfully, I did when this thing happened. And you're talking about it right now, when you're saying you want to document every family and their involvement in history in Bahrain, and you want to have a museum, and you want to, explain to them what the Hindu temple is and the role that it plays in the society. I couldn't agree more with you. Quick, do these things quick.
So this quick thing, and that's what, again, I maybe we digress, but it's so important that we do it. I'll tell you why this quick thing is, and I can give this to you because it is something which happened recently. 2 years back, our community decided to do an entrepreneurship award. And the idea was not to, okay, yes, we did honor entrepreneurs. We honored young Bahraini entrepreneurs. We opened it up to startups, and we had KPMG and those who did a evaluation. That was a small part of these awards. What we did was recognized the leaders in our community. Those were in their 80s and 90s on a wheelchair. They were still with us. And because these guys did it, they built it, and they gave it to us, and we did not recognize them. And we realized that, my God, we lost so many of them. And we recognized 7 of them. And out of the 7, in the last 2 years, we lost 3 or 4. 3. And one was, of course, if you know Ranjit, his dad. Yes. Ranjit's dads were recognized, but he's with us. But there were others we lost. And by the way, the Lifetime Achievement Award to a Bahraini entrepreneur was given to late Mr. Farooq Al Moed. And I believe this was the last award he got, and then we lost him after that. So when you say do it quick, this is what I meant. This is what you meant, because we're losing them. We'd already lost, and of course those who we honored were in their 80s or in the 90s. If you see them, the pictures, most of them were on the wheelchair. But and the sad part is there were so many we didn't honor. And so this entrepreneurship award was something also part of this community is doing, and maybe we think of doing it every 2 years, so maybe the one due by next year. And again, recognize those real leaders, the community leaders, the entrepreneurs, the founders, legends. I call them legends.
They're legends. Thank you, sir. That's a beautiful word. Beautiful word, legends. Is there a proverb that you go by? in your community or in your business or in your classes that you'd like to share? A mantra or a...
So, I mean, you wear different hats,
Yes.
and I wear different hats. I think every hat we wear has a different proverb to follow. As far as the community is concerned, and we have this as a tagline, which I am really fond of, it was part of evolving this or creating is honoring your entrepreneurial legacy. It's very important that we honor those legacies. I know family businesses don't last maybe beyond 3-4 generations. Very few do percentage wise. The statistics are all there. But whatever legacy we have, I think this is one thing which I feel that. The other thing is, as far as my teaching and all is concerned, is that I have a different. It's not a proverb, but I just tell this guys that, look, this thing about following your passion, and I read it, and everybody says this. I don't think my dad had a passion for selling pencils. Honestly speaking, I don't think he would have woken up one morning and said, "Yeah, let's sell pencils because that's my passion." I think passion is more. So okay, they want to do something. They want to do. It was more economic. They wanted to have a better life for themselves and their family. So they said, you know what, this is the way to do it. Let me take a risk. So, so for them, I think for my students, the whole bits and pieces of things which come up only from our experience. And I'm sure you would walk into a class and you would have your own stories to share and own things to share. But if you're just curious and you try things out, you never know where life will lead you. And this is what I feel one can be. And as far as entrepreneurship is concerned, I think, and this is again a cliche, and I don't want to say it, but it's okay to fail, man. It's not a big deal. And Yo teaches us that, and Yo actually glorifies it. We have a few years back, we had failure nights in Yo. You actually come up and say where I failed. There were more stronger words used just with the same letter, but we can't use that on your podcast. But we call it the failure night. I can just to be politically correct, but as I said, and you actually come up and say uh, what you talk about. So I think it's okay. It's okay to fail because how many times do you fail and then you rise up again? So resilience is important.
So one of the proverbs I go and I tell my son, I said, when I die, you can put this on my grave, on my tombstone, and that is, don't delay, do it today.
Yeah.
This is something I've been telling myself since I think I was 18 or 19 years old. It's like, don't delay, just do it today, because tomorrow is never the right time. Today is always the right time. The other thing that I wanted to tell you, which is about you saying failure is a great thing. I saw something the other day. When you see some things, you're like, oh my God, that's so true. And so it's usually something very basic. It's not like you discovered the ever information that was been secret and hidden. But this gentleman was talking to a group of 8-10-year-old boys, and I think they were learning how to play soccer. And he was telling them, I want you all today to go and be as silly as you can be. I want you to be silly. I want you to go play soccer, and be as silly as can be. And they were like, oh, silly. He says, listen, you think when you were babies and you were learning how to eat, you ate perfectly? The spoon went into your mouth perfectly? You think when you first started to walk, you got up on your legs and you started walking, you fell and you looked so silly and everything you did is wrong, and you got up and you fell and you got up and it fell. Same thing with eating, same thing with anything you're doing. You tend to forget this when you grow up. When you grow up, you say, oh, I'm grown up now. I can't afford to do those silly things. But in reality, this is how you learn. We've been learning throughout ages. When you're born, you go through so many periods of learning, and that period is a fail. After the fail, you can call it fail. We can call it whatever you want. But really, it's the ability to get up is what's important. It's not just the failure. Is you're trying to teach people how to get back up and continue. So, of course, failure is okay. But it's that, the take-home thing from this is, learn how that's happened, because when you get up, that's the actually thing that is going to change your life. What is, in your opinion, that 99% of the people in business are doing it that are doing wrong in marketing?
I think when we sit on the other side as marketers or as an organization selling a product or a service, I think empathy is important. If you put yourself in what the customer really, really would want, where's the pain point for him or her, and then take care of it. Rather than, this is how marketing has been taught to me, this is what the textbooks say, or this is what the theory says, or this is how it has been done. So in that whole process, we get caught up in that, but we then forget that, this is my business. I would obviously want to maximize profits and maximize returns on my investment. And then that's when you start sort of saying, okay, you know what? I'll not do it. Let my customer compromise. I think that's important. If the customer says he wants it in 30 minutes, he wants it in 30 minutes, right? As unreasonable as it may be, or as demanding as it is, as much as it costs your business. Now, either we figure out a way on how to do it within 30 minutes and make it profitable in the process, or you don't. So it's about putting yourself in that customer's. Now, of course, customers are not reasonable. Of course, there is competition, and if there's, of course, there is somebody who can do it in 25 minutes. But the point is, that's the way business is. So, one of the things which I feel is that we we can be slaves to theory, whereas I think out there and spending time with the customers and actually interacting is one of my favorite pastimes in a supermarket is not shop. It's just observe
Yes.
in the business which we are in, stationery. Go on to the aisles and see why people are picking up a product and not the other, uh, and understand what it is. I don't know what it is that it's not perfect science, but that's my thing. Is so spending more time uh, with the client, with the customer, and less time doing PowerPoint slides, and I call them death by PowerPoint. I think that's important.
If you were to meet yourself when you were 15, 16, what would you tell yourself?
Oh my God, I read this, and there's so many things. Yeah, that's a tough one, honestly, because maybe I'm self-critical, and maybe I said should have done that, shouldn't have done that. Uh, but on the other hand, let's just say that I'm grateful to where I am,
Yeah.
and I think that's important. I think I'll leave it at that, because if you open that kind of worms, oh my, and those who hear me and those who know me and hear this thing, and those who know me from my past will probably point out and say, and I don't want to name them, and you can guess what relations they are. They'll say you didn't say this, and you should have done this. So let's just leave it there.
Okay, okay. They could fill in the gaps, if you're able to bring the family members, all of them, the ones that are no longer with us, the ones that are with us, and the ones that will be with us in the future as well. And somehow, some way, you have this ability to communicate with them. What advice would you be passing on to them, or what would you be telling them?
I think education is important. I would just emphasize. I think my parents, my uncle, everybody in the family is big on education. So they would say education is important. I think gratitude is important. We lack gratitude a lot, I think, nowadays. We're not thankful enough. We complain more and we say less thank yous. I think that's important. And I think I wouldn't advise, but I would say experience share, just educate yourself, and then a lot of things tend to sort of fall in place.
What message would you give them to make them feel proud? I mean,
Oh, the legacy of the family and the legacy of the community. Hey, look, there are bigger businessmen than we had in our community. There are richer communities than ours. But to face the traversities which our community faced, two migrations over 200, 400 years, start from scratch all over, build this up and retain the values and the culture. I think that's something really to be proud of. I think it means a lot to me. I think that's a great legacy to have. Yeah, so I think that would be great.
my final question to you is that you've been awarded something from our king, correct?
No official recognition, but we have been. The fact that they come to our home for Diwali is the biggest recognition, but there's no official award.
They come every year.
Somebody from the royal family comes, yes, either he or his sons, one of their sons, they come, yeah.
It's fantastic. I mean, they do these rounds and they go to everywhere, and it's not like they're not busy. They're the busiest people in the country, and yet they still have the time and they still see the need and necessity to partake and visit all these different communities during their festive and important days.
They don't need to, but they do it. This is, and that's why I think Bahrain will always remain close to my heart. I mean, this is my country. I'm extremely proud of it. I'm privileged that I'm a citizen of this country and I'm born here. That's of course destiny, and I think it's great. And I wouldn't be living anywhere else, despite of all the glamour of say whatever anywhere else world. We are safe, we are secure, we are happy, we are recognized, and we live among great people, great friends, somebody like you, and so many of the other communities. So yeah, that's one of my biggest, I think, blessings we have, and we're grateful for that. And it's not only me, it's not only my family, the whole community. I can speak about all these community members who are here in Bahrain. Extremely proud and grateful. So for us, that's the biggest recognition.
Yeah.
They acknowledge that we have been part of the fabric of the society, and they say that in so many words, and they say it loudly, and they amplify that message. And for us, that's important.
I couldn't agree more with you, Bob.
Thank you.
And on that note, I want to thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for everything that you're doing, from the mentoring to the training to the educating, to the business aspect to the community aspect. I can't wait for that museum to open because I'd love to see that museum. And one more time, thank you so much for being part of this. I really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure to be here, Samir, and I love this format. I hope you do more and more of this podcast, and then more and more people watch and hear this, because I think this is one way of sending our the message, to our community and to the world, what we can offer.
I couldn't agree more with you. And hopefully with the people that you know itself, we'll do more and more and more, and have as many people see it and cover as many stories that we can.
I wish you well, man.
You all have stories, and I just want to hear those stories.
Well, I wish you well on this.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you so much. Thank you.